Ladies, gentlemen, am I often forgotten, but certainly not by me offhand ascensions. Welcome to the channel and welcome to another guide. In this guide, we're going to be taking on solo Solak again. However, this time we're going to be using the range combat style. Now, this guide is just going to have my personal preset and how I take on range Solak, and isn't going to have a budget preset, simply because budget presets are not really able to reliably realmless on P4, and trying to do a kind of realm method going in and out of P4 honestly is not worthwhile at this boss, so we'll just be discussing my personal preset and rotations used today. So like in the Carapac guide that I made discussing range usage there, this guide is going to be for two different users. One of which is going to be someone who already has best in slot everything and they just want to see someone else's example of how they're doing range kill to pick up a couple tips and tricks. Being that it's another way, once again, to increase kills per day or kills per week, where the focus is on not so much if the method can get you a bunch of kills per hour or optimal kills per hour, but more or less making it so you can tolerate the boss for longer by having a separate method to make it seem like you're doing something different while still killing the same boss. And the second user in this situation is going to be the person who is the pure range camp. They love the range combat style and they don't want to use anything else. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this guide. Alrighty, so this is my worn equipment, gear, and whatnot, preset, inventory, whatever you want to call this. And honestly, it's pretty basic as far as a inventory goes, considering best in slot stuff. The blights have the standard perks on them. That is Aftershock 4, Equilibrium 2 on the offhand, Imprecise 6, Aftershock 1 on the main hand. The non-dyed blight in my inventory is just a Coroming swap to help get some extra Hydrix procs out during a build of some sort. Most notably in the beginning of the fight and on phase 4 I do this, and also when I'm going for an incendiary shot or a natty or something like that during the fight. I do find Hydrix very useful to bring in conjunction with the Bow of the Last Guardian, simply for the fact of gaining more adrenaline is always nice. I bring two combat dummies, the first one next to the bow, that one I deploy before the fight even starts, and I kind of do a pre-build. You guys will see that in the example kill. And the second dummy is just so I can start building adrenaline a little bit sooner on phase 4, just after Aerithor dies. The three EOFs I have are SGB, that is the yellow one that is equipped. I have the orange SGB, that is my ECB EOF, and the blue one is the Debo EOF. The two rune pouches there are just for Disrupt Shield and Vengeance. Honestly, I really don't venge much anymore, but it's pretty much just Disrupt Shield that I use. Vitpot makes P1 much easier due to the rotation that I use. Most of the time when I Vitpot, that is about the same time when I am going to use tendrils, so the extra HP is nice, plus it also makes tanking the single pad on phase 1 a little bit smoother, especially if you're missing a couple prey flicks like I usually end up doing for whatever reason. You know, I'm not the best with my prey flicks, but it is what it is. And also on phase 2, if you get some really rogue bombs, like you get some bombs that are really trying to hammer down on you and they're coming in really close, you can go ahead and Vitpot some of the later ones to help tank those. And overall, Vitpot is 100% recommended here. Vuln bombs are kind of self-explanatory, and the rest of the inventory is very simple as far as things like just food, prayer, and overloads, and that's about it. The Pernix Quiver has Bic arrows in them and Hydrix bolts. You can bring other bolts with you. You could probably bring full arrows once you have all the Bic arrow stacks are built up, just to help build up a little bit more damage, or maybe something fancy like splintering arrows to use with MDS and Salt the Wound, because Salt the Wound with Bow of the Last Guardian is pretty powerful. It is a free double 10k when you get it to work out right, and is very nice as an extra threshold to use. And that's about it. The armor set itself has kind of standard perks on top, that is M4 Devo 4 and C4 R5 or Crackling 4 Relent 5. The bottom is just Biting 4 mobile, and I have Lucky 6 Genocidal on there just for doing Carapac, and when I was experimenting with range at Carapac, I wanted the Genocidal buff for the the Slayer task, and so that was very nice. And Lucky 6 is also kind of a fun perk to have on there. Lucky 6 has saved me more than a few times, although Enhanced Devoted is definitely better for overall damage reduction, but Lucky 6 is kind of just a fun perk. Use what works best for you. I know some people like to use, I believe it is Lucky 6 Absorb 1 or Lucky 4 Absorb 2 if you're going to be ECBing a lot, which it is advantageous if you can maintain the adrenaline with the bow. However, some people opt to skip ECB in a couple different areas, so just play around with different setups and find out what works for you. As far as relics used, it is kind of my bog standard setup at this point. It is Death Ward, Conservation of Energy, and Fury of the Small. Range definitely needs help right now with adrenaline problems, so COE is definitely there to help with that, and Fury of the Small as well, giving 1% adrenaline. It does add up over time and is very nice. As far as Solak goes, having the Death Ward relic is very helpful, being that I like to camp lower HP here anyway, so the damage reduction is nice and makes hits more survivable, and they don't affect reses, so you can just get big boy reses every once in a while from auto attacks or other mechanic attacks, and you'll be on your way to full set. With that being said, this is also a poison setup, so I will be using a Blood Reaver and Vamp Aura to take advantage of all the damage that Bic arrows can do. The Blood Reaver spams out hits every time you take some form of healing, and all of these little hits, you'll see them, they hit anywhere from 15 to 90. It's just a little two-digit hit, and those hits can proc weapon poison damage. And so with all those hits going on, you'll just end up seeing walls of poison damage, and then the Bic arrows, while they're building up stacks, are able to cause poison hits to go up to, like, I think it's 6k. I've seen 6,500 damage on a poison splat, so it is definitely a building up damage for later setup. However, I find it really nice for melting phase 2, 3, and 4. The only difficulty with this setup is maintaining stacks when going into Erethdor and coming out. You have to be pretty good about that. However, it is not the end of the world if you lose your stacks for P4, and overall I find this setup to be about as fast, if not a little bit faster, than say a full-on damage setup. Another setup I tested here was using Reckless Aura, Ripper Demon, and full arrows, and it did work well. I was able to get more consistent at root skip for phase 1, however phase 2 and 3 definitely I felt like they were lacking, and overall my kill times on average were about 15 to 20 seconds slower, whereas in the Carapac video they were about the same. Here, Solak's HP pools are big enough to start noticing the difference, and the poison setup on average seems to be faster here. My personal PB with this preset I believe is a 654 or a 653, so let me know in the comments below how well you're doing with this type of setup. Anyways though, without further ado, let's go ahead and move on to the example kill. Alrighty, we have our solo preset loaded up. Go ahead and enter the instance, hit start. Mines do not work on the roots, they don't have enough HP, so I don't bother with them. And I just like to surge to this tile right here. It's just one above this tile, kind of in front of this. But anyways, go ahead and drop a dummy, and I like to start off with a natty instantly, try and get a Hydrix proc on my Gricko, and I'm happening to get quite a bit of Hydrix there, so go for an Incendiary. And I'll just double basic here, start my DS. We happen to get a Relent proc, so I'll just one basic, anticipate with a Vuln Bomb, quick start, and then TC my bow spec into an ECB, Gricko, SGB. I have a lot of adrenaline here, so I'll just wait till the 6th hit. Pivot pot here, do a snap into a Gricko so I can get my tendies off while Power Burst is still active. Couple basics. I just tick this hit here. You have to do it after the melee hit. And then my bow spec's almost done, so I'll just grab another bow spec real quick. And just do a rapid for fun. And my aim here is about 1.6. So I'll go ahead and hit an SGB. Bleeds are good for getting additional poison out because of how each bleed hit, you know, procs a heal, so you can get in some more healing damage, which will make the Blood Reaver do a bunch of damage, and thus get out more poison hits. So I always start with this guy up here in this northwest corner, and then just kind of work my way around. And get the roots here. As long as you're running away from the roots in a decent direction, you should be fine. You don't usually need to anticipate them. You can if you want to, but personally I never do. And after this one, I just like to tag him again, just to make sure I don't lose any of my stacks that I've built up so far, and just keep killing the roots. If you want, you can snag a devotion while killing the roots and get that extended. And we just got one more here. And we'll just do some damage to him and hope for the 141, which we should get. And 141, yep, we got it because we were at damage cap. And here what I like to do is ECB and rapid fire this one. And sometimes try and get a bow spec off. And then hit Gricko, because Gricko will keep your stacks updated here. They will hit him in the center, and you can keep your stacks going for infinite, basically. That's just how you keep your big arrow stacks. I didn't know that until someone had pointed it out, that it works. And then I usually natty on that one. Sometimes a little earlier, sometimes later, just depends on what I'm doing. And I build up on this one for my incendiary. One basic, and then Gricko. Got a pretty good proc there. And then start my DS. Here. I just basically use bow spec to kill it, and if I have to, a Gricko. ECB on the core, get a rapid fire going for the big crit adren. Now let's go ahead and 10Ds. Snap. Into a D-boat, should be dead. Yeah, it's dead. That's roughly my rotation. Here I just like to play it safe. Get a little stack on him going. Try and get some Hydrix builds on this, and then Debo. And then just build a Dren on him while also getting some stacks built up. Because each arrow does 2 stacks on the little corner up on Solak on the upper right, and then that goes to 400 for 200 stacks total, if that makes sense. I'm not really sure why it's programmed like that, but it is what it is. And just grab a bow spec here, do some more threshing. Get another hit on Solak. You can go ahead and pre-vol him if you want for later. And I like to keep my HP kinda high during this phase, because I have been KO'd here before, so I'm just a little bit wary of that. Spam click the center, and whatnot. And then we just have to kill these two, so sometimes I'll just Debo this guy. That was enough for him. Come over here, try to get a Hydrix Gricko. Keep my HP high, and then we're going to drag him here over the nose. Since we use Natty for the core, I'm just going to instantly go for an Incendiary. Go for Hydrix. We got enough adrenaline so I can save the A-pot here. Yeah, we only have to 2 basic. And then just start your DS. And then I do A-pot this DS because I don't have Natty to help me. I was already at 7, so I went ahead for a bow spec. Gricko into an SGB. I'll just grab a bleed here real quick before my rapid. Into a snap, and I'll go for a Debo because we still have 7 seconds left. Didn't get quite the adren refund there, so I'll just try and basic a little bit more. Get some stacks built up so I can get a double 10Ds here into a Gricko. Now it's going to be a painful bomb, so go ahead and Vitpot that. He was under his feet, you got to pay attention for those. And then here, what I like to do, collect. I like to res the first bomb on this attack. So I'm just going to walk under for this. Hit res after the melee hit, and then drop the dome with extra action button and just sit here for a while. I also pop devotion right after I click the extra action. And he's pretty much at cap. So now the nice thing is, we'll just hit overload again. Because we could just start a build here with a Natty, and then that the build should take care of this percent bar. Now, if your incend gets stuck in him, it doesn't matter. It's fine. It'll pop just as the phase starts and becomes attackable again, and you actually get more crit time. So, well, we just got a lot of adrenaline there, so I'm just gonna go ahead and bow spec. Go for a rapid, a 7-hit rapid, just so I can get an 8th hit with the SGB. Into a Gricko, 10Ds, snapshot. I'll just disrupt with this for funsies, and I have a lot of adren here, so I'm just going to keep dumping Debos. You can ECB here if you'd like. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And here I'm going to try and save my stun as we go over to the second one, and I'm just going to hit tight bind, or was it binding shot? Yeah, it's binding shot. I always get those names confused. And here I'm just going to try and finish him off, get him down to 200k because that's the cap. Here he's at cap. I'm going to eat up just a smidge. Get my 7th snack, and then we're going to go in. I'm just going to bow spec into a dead shot, and then just basic from here usually. Sometimes I'll toss in a rapid fire if I think I need it. I usually play that one by ear. I'll toss in a rapid fire just to make sure. Now I'll toss a Gricko. That should finish him. And then here I'll just build up on a dummy a couple hits. And then we'll just start with a Incend because we used Natty already. Go for a Hydrix Gricko. We got it. Make sure the Vuln bomb's out. And we started DS a little late, but it's not too big of a deal. We'll just A-Pot, Bow Spec, Gricko, and I like to ECB just kind of for funsies. And then we'll do a Rapid. It'll hit 3 on this cycle. And then I'll just Limitless into a Snap. And Debo because we got the Dren refund, but usually you can just go into something else there. You should be fine. There's a decent amount of wiggle room on P form if you keep your stacks. If you lose your stacks, you kind of have to hope for crits to let you get an extra Debo in or a single Debo in, but backloading your damage is always the play. I try to get my SGB off after a rapid fire, specifically for the use case of backloading damage, because after each, I forget the HP increment, but after every increment of HP, I think it's 10k or 15k, somewhere in that range I want to say, that's when more minions spawn in the mind, and the more that are there, the quicker his HP is going to drain. So if you can save your big hits like your SGBs, your triple Debos, your triple snaps, you know, things like that. Snapshot is not so much of an issue, but mainly like the big SGB and the triple Debo. If you can save those for the latter half of your rotation, definitely take that advantage. Plus, rapid fire is going to allow you to build up a lot more adrenaline because that's 8 hits that can crit. Now we'll go ahead and teleport out, and just for funsies, we'll go ahead and get the loot. Kill time was a 7:36. That's pretty average, I'd say, for this preset. I have seen sub 7s. I have seen some go over 8 where I've really messed up on like core or something, but this rotation that I've kind of been coming up with has seemed to become pretty consistent. So, claim the loot. And we get some salvage per usual. I think in the other guide I got salvage as well. And just in time for a system update. Anyways, I hope this helped you. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. I'd be more than happy to help answer them. And let's go ahead and roll that outro. Ladies, gentlemen, and I did not forget about you offhand blights. Thank you very much for watching this guide. If it helped at all, please let me know down in the comments below. And if you have any tips for improvement, leave them in the comments below. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, so if you can help out with that, that'd be greatly appreciated. Have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, nighttime, whatever it is, wherever you are, and I will see you next time for the next guide. Peace.